am a teacher of 15 years, this student terrifies me so bad that I'm thinking about quitting. I am a F42 English teacher who teaches at an alternative school. For obviously reasons, I will be keeping the student's name, my name, as well as my school's name out of this post. If you aren't aware of what an alternative school is, it's basically a school that kids come to when they don't do well at other schools. This can be for a multitude of reasons, such as drugs, grades, bullying, or just overall not being able to function in a normal school setting. Before she joined our school, all of the staff who would be teaching her had a meeting with our principal and the principal of her previous high school. He let us know why she was removed from her other high school. A long story short, she got removed because she put one of her peers into the hospital. Fast forward to school starting, I don't have this girl in my class until the second semester of the year, which started in January. When I see her, I automatically knew it was her. She just had a completely different energy than the other students who come to our school. She was confident, her peers respected her. She was quiet, although many people tried to talk to her, she would kind of give them a look, nod at what they were saying, and just go back to her work. I very quickly found out that this girl was a borderline genius. She was one of the smartest students I've ever taught, and I should know this, considering I usually teach seniors in their English class. This girl was only a sophomore and in the same class. At this point, I had kind of forgotten about the meeting that we had had in regards to her past high school, and when someone had brought it up to me, I just couldn't believe that this was the same girl, and it was surely a misunderstanding. However, this week everything changed. She came into class, and you could immediately tell something was different. All of my students were scared, and I'm not talking they were nervous or waiting for something to happen. I mean, everyone came in, they put their heads down and were quiet, which is highly unusual. She came in about 10 minutes late. I told her she was 10 minutes late and asked where she was. She looked me dead in the face, scoffed at me, and then went and sat down. As a teacher who is responsible for disciplining students, I obviously walked over to her and asked her what was wrong. Why are you being disrespectful? And basically just trying to get a relative of what was going on in the school. She didn't answer me, just kind of stared at me while I talked to her, and I'm going to be so honest with you guys, the look in her eyes made me, a 42-year-old woman who has been teaching for almost 15 years, afraid. I was genuinely scared. The look in her eyes just gave me goosebumps. But this isn't why I'm thinking about quitting. During my class ride, we're doing a group project where the group gets to pick out a book and then kind of do a self-paced project. I had put her in a group with some people that I have seen she hung out with. She's a relatively quiet person, but was being really playful, and I could see that the group is off task. I walked over and told them to get back on task and kept redirecting them throughout the class. I got very annoyed at this. At the end of the class, I decided I was going to call her and tell her that I had wrote her up for being disrespectful to me and for distracting the rest of the class. She didn't argue, she smiled at me. This was an uncomfortable situation. She smiled at me, said she understood, and then she walked out of class. This was on Monday. She has been absent since this happened. Yesterday, which was Wednesday, I was at the grocery store around 6:30 p.m. Everything was fine in the grocery store, and I'd honestly forgot about the encounter between me and this girl. Just as I was leaving the grocery store, I saw her. She wasn't wearing her usual outfit of a t-shirt and pajama pants. She was wearing very loose pants with a shirt that had been cut right below her chest that had a hood attached to it, and it was hard to tell it was her from far away, unless you knew her. However, she was just standing outside the grocery store, staring at me. I kind of waved to her, just to be polite. I wasn't gonna go ask her why she had been absent and just figured she'd be back tomorrow, but as I'm pulling out of the grocery store, she's still at the front staring at me, watching me pull out. On my way home I was followed. I was followed by a black Charger with tinted windows. I took multiple turns away from my house, very complex turns, and this car was definitely following me, so I called the police. I don't know why, but after about 15 minutes, the car did a U-turn and pulled away. At this point I was shaking. I'd called my husband and told them what happened, and the cops told me that they would meet me at my house and get a description of the vehicle and any suspicious features. On my way home I thought about the girl and I chalked it up to just a coincidence that she was there. Today is Thursday. It's currently noon while I'm writing this. I'm on my lunch break, which is right after the class I have with her. She came into class after being absent all week, and I had asked her where she'd been. She gave some vague answer about not feeling well and really just didn't want to have to deal with people in school. Classic teenager answer. Overall, everything was relatively normal. She was reading her book, communicating with her group, and then at one point she turns to me, looks me in the face and goes, "Did you get home safe last night?" She had never asked me this before or even remotely seemed to care about my well-being. This was weird. I kind of gave her a look, and I told her that I got home fine and asked what she was doing at the grocery store by herself. She gave me a half smile with her lips tucked in and went back talking to her group. After that class, I went down to go heat up my food, just time to see her walking out the doors to the front of the school. As I was standing at the microwave, we got a very clear view of what was happening in front of the school since we have a very open concept with lots of windows. That's when I noticed she was getting into a black Charger. I was watching her get into the car to see if I could see who was picking her up. When halfway through her opening the door, she stopped. She turned around, made eye contact with me through the window of the staff room, waved very slowly at me with a terrifying look on her face. And when I say terrifying, I don't mean she was making a scary face at me or like a monster. I mean she had the most sinister smile that I have ever seen on her face. Then she got in the car. I'm writing this debating on whether I should call the police or tell my principal or even tell anyone, because I fear that I risk losing my job by accusing her of something like that when really, she hasn't done anything wrong. That's why I'm posting this here. Some kids at the school are associated with gangs, and I just don't know if I've put myself in danger. Can someone help me? What should I do? What are your opinions on this situation? Top comment. That's terrifying and extremely suspicious. The detail that you saw this girl right before you were followed, and then saw her get into the same car on the same day she made vaguely threatening comments seems like something that should be added onto the police report as well. If you're already considering quitting over this, it seems like you don't have much to lose by telling school authorities. For self-protection, consider getting dash cams, security cams on your house, and carrying a means of self-defense. I don't have much advice other than that, but my thoughts are with you, and I hope you stay safe. Subscribe.